When you're buying a gun, there's not much better than the first time you open up that package and pull a brand new gun out of the package and handle it for the first time. Just gives you a really good feeling of satisfaction knowing that you have all the original documentation and you might be the first person that's ever taken this gun out of the package since it was originally packaged at the factory. It's a great feeling. You get to see all the little accoutrements that get added in there, all the extra magazines and stickers and the little rubber straps that go on the grip. But I got to tell you, sometimes it's almost more fun when you find an older gun that comes with the original package as well, such as this Smith & Wesson SW9VE that I picked up a while back. I always like getting these old vintage Smith & Wesson cases, and it's always cooler when you open it up and you can see that nice foam inside that's cut out for the shape of the gun and cut out for the shape of the magazines. Everything fits so well inside there. And again, it just makes you happy to see that the person before you that had this gun really wanted to take care of it, keep it with the original package, so when they sold it, it would give it a little bit more value and a little bit more aesthetics to the next owner. Now, same thing with the SIG P238. This was another one that I bought used. It was lightly used, and the previous owner thought that it was a good idea to keep the original box and keep all of the original stuff inside of the box as well. But honestly, what I enjoy more than getting a modern gun that's used in the original packaging or even a brand new gun is finding the old classics that have been sitting in the back of somebody's safe or in a sock drawer or on their bureau for the last 30, 40, or 50 years. Now, this Beretta, this is my 21A in nickel finish in 22 long rifle caliber. This is from 1988. And while this one does not have the original booklet that came with the firearm in the package, this particular one did come in the original box, and it is just an excellent condition gun. I've had this on my channel a few times. A lot of fun to shoot. Nice little pocket pistol. It's a little bit thick to throw in my pockets when I'm wearing my normal jeans, but if you're wearing cargo shorts or cargo pants or have kind of a coat or sweatshirt on, fits greatly in your pocket. So finding the original box with the original serial number is always cool, and I love these old vintage Berettas. Now, moving on from that, the next one I have, this is my Smith & Wesson Model 34-1. This is what was originally dubbed the Kit Gun by Smith & Wesson, and this particular guy is a 22 long rifle, 6-shot revolver with a snub-nose barrel. And when I bought this one, this came with the original package, still wrapped in the wax paper. If you go back probably a year and a half or so in my videos, this one actually came missing the rear sight. I found the rear sight assembly on eBay for a pretty good price, and this gun was in unfired condition when I bought it. So not only did it come in the original box with the original paperwork, it also came with an unopened cleaning kit. It came with the original registration card and the original box that has the printing with all the safety instructions and everything on the bottom as well. So again, this is just, there's something that feels awesome when you open up these original old boxes from the 1960s or 1970s that have all the literature still in them, have the original printed documents for the gun with all of the parts list and all of those safety warnings and things like that inside the box as well. Next on the hit parade is my Model 30-1, which is actually one of the first J-frames, also dubbed the 32 hand ejector. This is a 32 Smith & Wesson long J-frame, and yes, this is the first J-frame that they made. And again, being unique because it's a 6-shot revolver in the standard J-frame size. This one didn't actually come with the factory box. This box I actually bought off of eBay, and it came with, again, some of the paperwork, that original wax paper, a factory Smith & Wesson cleaning brush, and even though the box isn't original to this gun, it does add some value to the gun, and it adds to the nostalgia of it. I've had this gun on a couple of different videos not that long ago, shooting it against my Charter Arms that also has a 32 Smith & Wesson. But again, this is just pretty cool because you get the old box here that was actually originally intended for this, with a bunch of the original important information about registering the gun and things like that. The old documentation from Smith & Wesson back when it was still in Springfield, Massachusetts, with the statement of liability and warranty. And again, this one, even though it's not the original box, it does add to the nostalgic value of the gun, And if I ever do resell this, it will add to some value of the gun. Now, again, I don't really recommend everybody going out and purchasing old packages for these unless you're really kind of a nut when it comes to this kind of stuff like I am. This is my vintage Charter Arms undercover. I bought this one off a buddy of mine about a year and a half ago. And again, this is another one that was in unfired condition. And while the box is a little bit worse for the wear, it is the original box for this gun. And when I bought this, the gun was in pristine unfired condition. It had very light cylinder turn marks on it, but realistically, this gun was practically brand new. And what made this one even cooler, when I went through all the package and I looked at all the paper inside of the box, this one not only had the original documentation, but it had the accessory manual, and digging further into the box, it actually had the original purchase sales receipt from the original owner. So you can see there the original price around $169.95 when it was brand new, and I believe this was purchased in 1982, which again for me is even more nostalgic because I was born in 1982. And it's always cool to get the original documentation inside the box with the exploded view and all of the parts, as well as your accessory guide that talks all about the accessories that came for these guns, belt buckles, the scatchet hatchet, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff that they sold back in the day, a lot of which I've actually purchased over the years. I have a bunch of the Charter Arms patches. I have a couple of the belt buckles. I've been chasing down one of the scatchet hatchets for a while, but honestly, they're really expensive, and the reviews that I've heard on them is that they're minimally useful, but I still think it'd be cool to have one. So that's my Charter Arms undercover, and again, this one came in the original packaging with the original sales receipt. Always cool to find stuff like this. It puts a smile on my face, even more so sometimes than buying a brand new gun off the shelf that comes in a new package. And then last but not least on this particular list is this Smith & Wesson 6906. This came from, again, 1988 was the date that's written on the box. This particular gun is a stainless steel firearm. This is a semi-auto from, I believe, the third generation Smith & Wesson semi-auto firearms. And again, this one's pretty cool. Came in the original package with the unopened cleaning kit. Came wrapped in the wax paper with 2 magazines and the original chamber flag, and all the literature is underneath the box as well. So even though I believe this gun had been fired, it shows very little signs of wear. I mean, if it was fired, it probably had 1 or 2 magazines put through it. And again, always cool to find all of this original documentation in there, semi-automatic center fire pistols, all the exploded views, the parts list, and everything like that. And, just kind of gives you a look back into the 1970s and 1980s, what they were thinking back then with the different guns they had, looking at the old literature, all of the dealerships and the warranty dealers and things like that that they listed. And this one's kind of funny because you can see the discoloration on all the paper in this. You can actually see how all the paper was stacked on top of each other inside of the box just by lining up the discoloration of all the different pieces of paper that were in the box. So again, shows its age and makes me smile when you see something like that. Pretty stinking cool to see this old literature still in the bottom of the box. And again, that somebody took the care to keep the original box for 30 plus years with the original gun and all the paperwork inside of it. So I know this is kind of a little bit outside the norm of my videos, but I thought it would be a fun one just to kind of show something that I'm a little bit passionate about. And again, I won't stop buying anything that doesn't have the original package. You can usually get a better deal for it. But a lot of times, if you go to resell these and you keep the original package, especially from something vintage from the 1960s or 70s or 80s, it will add value to the product. And I think it's worth doing. So guess what? I have a ton of boxes up in my attic just in case I ever decide to sell my guns.